Okay. Um, as you may all know, basically, this is actually you don't know. This is going to be spoiler alert city right now, okay? Because I've read the spoilers on Impact, and I'm going to talk about them. So, if you have a problem with me revealing spoilers from Impact, stop watching right now. I'll give you 3 seconds. One, two, three. Okay. So the reason I'm wearing this shirt is I guess the band's back together again. We got Hollywood back together and Eric Bischoff and bringing in some people. Jeff Jarrett, never forget that silver NWO. We got Abyss and newest member Jeff Hardy. Cool. And apparently Fortune joined that. So Fortune, Jeff Hardy, Abyss, Hogan, Bischoff, Jarrett. I mean, what a mess. What a complete mess. I told you all that they was going to be Hogan and Bischoff. Me and Bill told you 3 months ago. And a lot of people thought we were wrong. A lot of people thought we were stupid. A lot of people thought we were dumb. Well, let me explain to you how it was so clearly obvious it was Hogan and Bischoff. Okay, one, Bischoff was having problems with what Dixie was saying. So you could already tell he wanted to turn heel. She was overruling some of his decisions. He was getting upset. You could tell, but he just kind of kept it quiet. Two, there were about 3 times where Abyss would come to try to attack Eric Bischoff, but yet never hit him once. Never hit him once. So it was obvious they were in on it together. 3, Abyss was not getting over with Hulkamania Abyss, Abyssomania, and Hogan said that Abyss was his John Cena. So when they were talking about of course he's talking about Hulk Hogan. Because Hulk Hogan believes in Abyss and wants Abyss to get over. So you knew Hogan was involved. Then, who came out to rescue Dixie from the live impact? It was Bischoff. It was so obvious. And then he had her sign some paper saying that after Bound for Glory, Abyss is fired, which obviously was something to give him creative control or take over the company or something like that. I mean, this stuff is clear as day. There was no shock value in it whatsoever. Then you want to go on about how Hulk Hogan's in the hospital and show all this stuff on Hogan and yada, yada, yada. But yet, you knew by them talking about him all the time and focusing on him so much, he was going to show up. You want to talk about bad booking. That's bad booking. And then Hardy, okay, you bring in Jeff Hardy to win the championship, and wasn't it Jeff Hardy the week after RVD got attacked that his ass is falling out of his pants, that they had to blur out his ass crack during the whole fight between him and Abyss? Didn't Abyss lay him out multiple times? But all of a sudden they're together. Talk about last minute decisions there. You know, then that's why people will say TNA's booking makes no sense, because it doesn't. You're bringing in something that makes no sense from the long run, which insults people's intelligence. Okay, if it was just Bischoff, Jarrett, Hogan, and Abyss, and Eric, who is Bischoff, whatever. I'm so pissed right now. I'm just going to make some mistakes. I promise you I will. If that was the case, then they would just be a train wreck and a half. Luckily, Jeff Hardy is involved in they. It does make it somewhat interesting. He can wrestle, so when he does have matches, you know, it will be good in that aspect. But there's going to be freaking run-ins all the time now. There's not going to be any really solid wrestling matches. It's just a disaster. It's the main event Mafia mixed with the NWO, mixed with TNA booking. It's horrible. It's horrible. And from what I hear, they want to call themselves the NWE, which is the World Elite, the New World Elite. We've already established that WCW, one of the main reasons it went out of business, and I know guaranteed money and the AOL Time Warner merger and all that other crap, but one of the main reasons is they ran with the NWO too long. It was something that they just wouldn't give up on, and it was their biggest success, but it also dragged them into the mud because it just went on for too long. What makes you think by bringing it back is that going to be a successful business decision? That is stupid. And what worries me is that you actually think this is a good idea? That this is a good idea? The fans have been saying we're tired of the veterans, and now you're going to put them all over TV? And let me guess, let's just take a page back from WCW. Is Sting coming back to save us all? Is Sting going to feud with the NWE? Are we going to get a Sting and Jeff Hardy feud? Are we going to get a Sting and Hulk Hogan feud at the end of the year? Who cares? These guys are old. They are past their prime. I found out that Hogan watched our last video on Twitter. I got a guy that watches my stuff that posts Twitter to me all the time, and we tweet to each other. I'm pretty sure his name's Rambo something, but he's a very loyal fan. I appreciate him, and he posted the video on Hogan's Twitter, and Hogan watched it, and he said it was pretty good booking, but it doesn't, go by, minute by minute and what the Spike TV's execs say and all this other stuff, and there's a lot more to booking than this, and yada yada yada, which is all the same excuses they always say because you're not in the business, you don't know. And then he says that, but my son and his friends know the business and they have a lot of really good ideas, and Dixie's always having great ideas at him and stuff, thrown at her and stuff, and the thing about that is I question that Hogan knows the business. I question that Eric Bischoff knows the business. I question Jeff Jarrett knows the business. I question Dixie Carter knows the business. And you want to know why I question that? Because the business has changed. If you were in your prime in 1980 and 1990, you don't know what we want in 2010. Matt Hardy just did a video saying the business has changed. The business has evolved. The fans are too smart. The fans are being insulted their intelligence is being insulted. There needs to be a winner, there needs to be a loser, and it needs to be more looked at as a sport. Because it's the days of mixed martial arts where there is a winner, there is a loser, and it is more of a sport. Now, people will say, well, pro wrestling's different than MMA, and I want to watch pro wrestling. I don't want pro wrestling to be more like MMA. Well, can Ring of Honor, when you get Davey Richards and Tyler Black, when you get Beer Money and Motor City Machine Guns, when you get Kurt Angle, Jeff Hardy, it's a different feeling than what you get when you get a UFC fight or a Strikeforce fight, a mixed martial arts fight. It's a different feeling, and that doesn't have to change. That is what's always going to make pro wrestling exciting, and that is what's always going to make MMA exciting. They are two different things when it comes down to the finish, the fight, but both are still very exciting. It's the build-up to the fight is where the issue is in pro wrestling, and where the fights are going perfect with UFC. They do the countdown shows. They show the primetime shows. They build it up. They take it seriously. They don't just go and throw some stupid ass whack crap all in big old cluster mess and say, hey, this is the build up for your next pay-per-view. And Paul Heyman did an interview recently, and he said that he was going to take the approach that pro wrestling isn't cool anymore. So then I thought to myself, why is pro wrestling not cool anymore? Because it's not because UFC just showed up. Because you want to know why? Because in the 90s, boxing was in its prime. Okay? And people will question historians or whatever, but let's just say in the 90s, boxing was at its heyday for a while, a long time. You had Oscar De La Hoya and Fernando Vargas and Shane Mosley and Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson, and I could go on and on. Winky Wright and Roy Jones Jr. and all those guys. And people would still watch boxing. Boxing would still get massive numbers, but wrestling would still get massive numbers. Bottom line is, people, wrestling quit. They quit. They gave up. They said, you know what? We don't know what to do anymore. We're throwing in the towel. And yet, all of us diehard loyal fans have been sticking by this crap. And for what? For what? So we can be called morons? So we can say that we have no idea what we're talking about? Yet we put money into these companies. We go to their shows. Hell, I hugged the president of TNA, Dixie Carter. I've talked to Dixie on multiple occasions. Dixie's been nothing but nice to me. But it's almost like when you're in high school and somebody's nice to you and then talks crap behind your back. That's what it's like with TNA. They're nice to you to your face, and then they talk crap behind your back, and then they deliver this horrible show. And then I got the heat for defending TNA. And listen, I'm off that bandwagon now. Okay, I mean, I still enjoy their wrestling from time to time, but their overall booking is awful. And I could do a better job. And I'm flat out saying that. I could do a better job. Bill and I could do a better job. We could smoke Russo. Smoke him. And I don't care if you guys think that we don't have enough experience in the business and all this other stuff. Listen, this is how easy it is to clean up TNA. You get rid of the veterans. You push your best talent to the main event. You revamp the X division. You have to you make a different type of advertising campaign, and then you deliver on that advertising campaign. So if we say that we're different than the WWE, then we damn sure prove it. We damn sure prove it in the ring, and we damn sure prove it in promos, and we damn sure prove it in booking. And then guess what? We keep moving up the ladder. But instead, you morons keep going backwards. You keep going backwards. You had Angle and Desmond Wolfe and AJ, Joe, and Daniels, and people were excited. This is what separates you from the WWE. Then you go and bring in Hogan. Then you go and bring in Bischoff. Then you go and bring in Jeff Hardy. Then you go and bring in Shannon Moore. Then you go and bring in the Yoda Brian Kendrick. I mean, this stuff is retarded. You bring in Mr. Anderson, and then you say, you know what? All these guys are better than any of this TNA talent. Any of this TNA talent that you have, and guess what? We're going to take all these TNA originals, we're going to put them in Fortune with Ric Flair, and we're going to make them suck. And not only are we going to make them suck, we're going to have them feud with the generic version of ECW, only to bring a generic version of the NWO back. Now, what makes sense in this? You guys suck. You guys drop the ball. You always drop the ball. And then we have videos from Dirty White Boy saying that he hopes you guys die. He hopes you guys die. A wrestling fan wants you guys to die. Why is that? Why is it that we constantly tell you you guys are screwing up? You know it, Dixie, and you know that we've been blowing up your Twitter. You know that we've been blowing up your Facebook, and yet you ignore us. Ignore us for what? We left the WWE because they suck. We left them because they do not deliver anymore. So why would we stick around with TNA if you're not going to deliver? Because you know what? Ring of Honor is busting their ass, and they're destroying you guys in the ring. They're destroying you guys in the ring. And if they had a more mainstream feel, much more people would jump on the bandwagon. How are you going to tell me, a wrestling fan, has been a fan since he was 3 years old? I'm 27 now, okay? How are you going to tell me I don't know the business? How are you going to tell me that I don't know what's good and what's bad? How are you going to tell me that you know what I want more than I know what I want? You have no clue. You have no clue. You really think I want Jersey Shore? And listen, Jersey Shore got so much heat when he first showed up because people are thinking, oh God, not another bad storyline. Damn it! You got already Orlando Jordan and Eric Young hinting that they're lovers, you know? And no wrestling fan cares about that. Nobody. Orlando Jordan is not over at all, yet you constantly push him in there. What? Damn it, let me do a TNA Addict show now and post that on your website, and people will start to realize the truth that you guys have no clue what you're doing. And then you fire Jim Cornette because he's not on the same lines with Russo? Who is? Nobody is. And I saw Jeff Jarrett's interview with Brian Fritz acting like this was a great night at Bound for Glory, and he was rude with the guy and thinks that, well, the fans aren't that. Yes, they are, you moron. And you think you're all hot stuff because you stole Kurt Angle's wife? Listen, the fact that you guys want to put that on television, the fact that you brought in Kurt Angle, one of your best wrestlers that you could ever pick up, top of the line, and then Jeff Jarrett goes in there, takes Karen Angle, they have an affair, whatever the hell went on, I have no idea. Anyways, they're married now, and now you want to bring that on TV. For what? For what? You want to do your little shoot promo crap? You know, why does that need to be aired on TV? You think that's a good idea? You know? And, okay, let's just look at who's been champion. AJ Styles was champion, almost had a year title run, then you give it to RVD. Now Jeff Hardy. So, honestly, the logical step now is Mr. Anderson, right? And then what, after Mr. Anderson goes back to RVD, and then Jeff Hardy, because TNA talent's not good enough, right? You know? Props to the Dudleys. Props to the Dudleys for stepping down and wanting to put over the young talent before leaving. I give you props, okay? And Hogan, if you're watching this, brother, you were a childhood hero of mine, okay? This is why I have this shirt. When you were on the NWO, I still represented you. Hollywood Hogan all the way, baby. You know, NWO for life. Too sweet. I loved it all. I supported you no matter what. I ain't supporting you no more, bro. You don't have a clue on what you're doing. You don't. And your legacy has been destroyed. From your broken marriages to your kids being in jail to you always going out and talking about what's best for business and you have no clue what's best for business, for acting like you're some savior in TNA when all you've done is hurt it. If you really want to save TNA, get the hell off the TV and take your buddy Eric with you. You guys aren't doing anything. You're not doing anybody any favors. And this goes to the WWE too. You know, y'all quit. Y'all gave up. Y'all spit in all of our faces for all the loyalty. And I feel sorry for kids now, man. When I was a kid, pro wrestling was my escape. You know, no matter if I broke up with my girlfriend, if I was doing bad in school, if whatever the case may be, man, I watched pro wrestling. I escaped from life. I got really involved in the characters, and then I couldn't wait for the pay-per-views, and everything seemed okay after Monday Night Raw or after SmackDown. Or what do they have now? Raw sucks, SmackDown sucks, Impact sucks. You know what? You have ROH, and I mean ROH. You only get a pay-per-view four every year. You know, and then you got to order the DVDs, and it's not the most ideal solution. You know, I don't know. I don't know what to say anymore. You know, we've constantly said the veterans need to go. We've constantly said that TNA just needs to push their X Division. They're young guys like Desmond Wolfe and AJ Styles, Samoa Joe. And hell, I'm okay with pushing Jeff Hardy and Anderson and Angle and bring in Shelton and Charlie and Carlito and Matt Hardy and go from like the 40s and down, and you'll be probably okay. But man, Jeff Jarrett's and Stings and Hogan's and Bischoff's and Foley's and Flair's and oh my, just awful. It's over for these guys. And they don't draw anymore either. Your ratings aren't going to increase because of these guys. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. They're ready to move on. And if I'm saying that, prime example, Ken Shamrock signed a multi-fight deal with King of the Cage. Okay, so he went from Pride, he went from UFC, WWF, Pride, back to the UFC, back to Pride, back to the UFC, and then he started going to Cage Rage and wherever could fit in, and now he's at King of the Cage. Well, King of the Cage is for upstarts. King of the Cage is for guys that are just trying to break it into the mixed martial arts business, and he's there. You want to know why? Because he's still Ken Shamrock, he's still got the name, right? His performance has diminished. He can no longer deliver like he used to. So guess what? He gets put in where he fits in, and that is King of the Cage. And that is where Hogan fits in. That is where Mick Foley fits in. That is where Ric Flair fits in. That is where I am so out of shape I have to wear my t-shirt Sting fit in. That is where EV 2.0 fits in. If Michael Jordan wanted to play basketball today, he belongs in an autograph session and not on the court. He does not belong in playing NBA basketball anymore. Does that take anything away from his legacy? No. He is a legend. He, in my opinion, is the greatest basketball player of all time. Do I want to see him play basketball so I can see him play amateur basketball and look like an amateur and no longer look like a professional and no longer look like the legend that I grew up watching and see him get beat by lesser talented people than him? No! I am glad he is retired. I am glad I don't have to watch him on TV. Maybe I just take this stuff too seriously. Maybe that's just what it is. Maybe you know what? As fans, we just need to accept that pro wrestling is going to be bad because they don't believe in it. They don't believe in the writing. It's just a quick way to make money, I guess. You know, they've given up on us. Maybe we should just give up on it. And you know what? If you look at WWE's ratings, if you look at WWE's buy rates, that's exactly what's happening. People are giving up. It's starting to get very bad. And honestly, in 3 years, I don't even know if pro wrestling is going to be around. For what? It's bad. It's bad all the time. And you know, it's like Instant Classic said in his video, pro wrestling isn't cool anymore. It's not. And why are we going to stick around and watch this if all we are is just insulted? If all we are is just basically told that we're idiots? If the fact that we're throwing trash into the ring showing we don't like something and yet we get kicked out or whatever, but yet they keep doing the same thing over and over again, you know? I know I'm right. And I know your guys, I know TNA, I know WWE, I know you're wrong. I know you're wrong for 100% fact, and I've got more passion for pro wrestling than you've got probably in 80% of your locker room. You know what I'm saying? You guys are in there for the TV time, the paycheck, whatever. And I know there's a lot of guys in there that really care about TNA and really want to see it succeed. And I know there's a lot of guys that aren't. And the guys that aren't are the ones that are mainly on the TV show. And that's the problem. Bottom line is, guys, it's getting scary. It's getting scary because there really isn't an alternative to a mainstream wrestling show. And the writing is getting so bad. The booking is getting so bad. And yet they're getting so cocky and so ignorant saying that it's fine. And when that happens, then you become the WWE and lose half your fan base. Well, if TNA loses half their fan base, they ain't going to be in business anymore. So, time to wake up, TNA. It's time to wake up. It's time to realize that you are producing a horrible television show with a stacked roster because you're pushing the wrong people. And I don't know what's in your ear, Dixie. I don't know who's telling you what, but you're letting your fans down. You are not delivering. And it's going to cost you. It will cost you.